So we have an absolute superstar in the making, guest speaker today, guys, Jeremy Bearden. So I am very, very excited. I talked to his agency owner a few days ago, Andy Santos, who's one of my favorite humans on this planet. And I was like, hey, Andy, who's the biggest rising superstar in your agency? And with like 0.01 second later, he said, Jeremy Bearden. Like there was no thought. It was like guaranteed, like you got to have him on your call. This guy's been here less than 6 months, and he's averaging over 10,000 a premium per week of NAP. You know, he's averaging an eagle every single week since he's been here, and he's a rock star. No prior sales experience. But 7 a.m. his time. He's in Houston, Texas. And just a little bit about Jeremy, guys. Jeremy's got 5 kids. He's got a family. He's got 5 children, which is awesome. And he was in the police force for 20 years before this, so that was his prior career. And he was a cornerback in college, went to Stephen F. Austin, and then he played arena football, for a few different teams after he graduated from there. So that's pretty awesome. Just a cool little backstory on him. And he is just the introduction of he's averaging 10,000 premium. So we're going to hear a little bit about, Jeremy's background, what he was doing before this, why he came here, what's helped him be successful, what a day in the life looks like for him. And we're definitely going to have some questions at the end, probably as well from the audience. But yeah, we're going to shift it over to Mr. Jeremy Bearden.
What's going on, man?
Good morning.
Yeah, so basically, as far as work-wise, I know me and you talked a little bit about kind of how things go and stuff, but really the main thing for me is everything that I've done has been just based off of referrals. Y'all got me all excited about all the recruits y'all are getting. Sorry about that. That's awesome, man. Y'all are killing it. But yeah, basically everything I've done has been based off of just referrals. Everybody I go in and speak with, typically I'm usually getting like at least one. Normally I'll get about 3 off of each person that I'm talking to. And just a little bit about kind of how I handle that part. For those of y'all that aren't getting referrals, you're spinning your wheels because it's gold. I don't really have a whole lot to base it off of because I haven't been doing this as long as a lot of y'all. But I can tell you that I'm not having to do a whole bunch of cold calls just based off of all these referrals. A lot of times, like, that's planning my day for me. So it makes it pretty nice. It also makes it really easy because you don't have to really push yourself to, get up, get back in that, go into another business, this and that, because I'm already walking in talking to somebody that knows I'm coming anyway. It makes it so much easier. But the way I'm doing it basically is I'll go in, building rapport is really big, obviously, when you first get in there. So I'm spending a lot of time building rapport when I first walk in, talking to them before I even get into why I'm there to begin with. Typically I'll spend, 3-4 minutes just basically shooting a shit with whoever it is that I walk in and start talking to. And I found a lot of times you're going to get sit downs based just off of that because you're not there like as a salesman, you're walking in and you're just another guy that they really get along with and all that type stuff. Typically, if I'm spending, 3-4 minutes listening to them, a little bit about what they do, how they like their job, stuff like that, then they're like, yep, I'll go ahead and listen to you for the same, just kind of out of respect more than anything. The product's great. So that kind of essentially sells itself as long as you're doing your presentation the right way and everything, building that need. And then for me personally, it's just been one of those things, like I started since day one. Once we get into the demo and all that, regardless if they sign up or not, I always, tell them, obviously you can see the benefits of this product, why it would help, you and your family. Can you think of anybody off the top of your head that would benefit from something like this? And typically that's when I get it, like, hey, my brother works at XYZ and doesn't, they don't offer anything like this. He would definitely be interested. Or, my best friend works down the road. We were just having a conversation about something like this, different things like that. And So what I'll do is I'll just tell them like, hey, I'm going to talk to them right now. If they're important to you, they're important to me. Go ahead and shoot them a text, let them know I'm on my way. So that way when I walk in, I've got a referral, walk in, talk to Joe, and I'm like, hey, I was just talking to your buddy George. He said this is definitely something you would be interested in. So kind of go into the intro from there. And they know, they've known them for years, trust them, love them, whatever. You're kind of guaranteed to sit down there. And then you just got to go back to building your need and all that. So it makes it really easy.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Hey, real quick, Jeremy, that was unbelievable. I like that question. Can you think of anybody else who would benefit from hearing something like this? Anybody that's close to you and you're just getting other business referrals or family referrals and going to go see them as soon as possible. And it's awesome hearing this, that you had no sales experience before this. Can you talk just maybe for a couple of minutes about your background, like what you're doing before this, and then what brought you here to Family Heritage?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I played football my entire life. Kind of thought that's how things were going to go. Started when I was 4, and that was kind of my deal. That was my focus on everything. I did just enough in school to stay eligible to play football because that's all I really cared about. Uh, so played ball all the way up. Played arena football for a little while. During the off seasons, I played semi-pro just to stay in football shape. So I was playing year round for a couple of years, which is no way for anyone to live because it beat my body up pretty good. But got invited to Houston Texans camp, and I was like, "Hey, I made it. Here we are." And 2 weeks later, they were like, "Yep, see you later." So I was actually talking to a buddy of mine right after that, and he'd been a police officer in a really, really rough town for about 7 years at that point. He's like, "Hey, man, go to the police academy at 6 months, get out, you have a job." I was like, "All right, cool." Put no thought into it, went to police academy and got out, went to work for that same town and loved it. Had a blast. Really good experiences. Really good life experience because before that, I really hadn't even had a job. I was just kind of playing ball. So definitely, changed my way of thinking on a whole lot of things. But so I did that for a while, SWAT team, all that good stuff. Was on for about 20 years, and just being a police officer is not the same as it was before. And it's really tough for, I worked nights my entire career. Got 5 kids, all of them play sports. I just wasn't able to be there for them. And then as far as like providing for my family, I was having to work, a bunch of extra jobs, things like that on my off time just to make ends meet. And really just got to looking at, being honest with myself. And I was looking in the mirror. I was like, look, you are going out doing all this extra stuff to provide for your family, but can you honestly say that you're doing everything you can for your family? Because you're not at anything that your kids do anymore, because you're having to work all these extra jobs, things like that. There's got to be something else that's out there. Got to talking to Mitch McKinney and Andy Santos. Talked to both of them guys, kind of saw how this worked. And I was like, look, I don't know how to sell things, but I can tell you that I know people. It kind of helped, being a police officer for so long, just talking to folks all the time. And nobody ever calls you on a good day when you're a police officer. So I was kind of looking forward to just actually meeting good people, talking to good people, things like that. So they were like, look, we got the sales talk, this and that. That'll help you as far as that part. All you got to do is get out and talk to folks. We'll take care of the rest as far as training and everything. All you got to do is stick to the plan. So I was like, well, I'll pull my retirement and let's do this. So jumped in October this past year. So I've been at it for a little over 4 months, I guess. And it's been life changing. But I think my background definitely helped just as far as like talking to people and things like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Great. That's an awesome background to hear. And just putting confidence, you definitely took that leap of faith, but knowing that you just have a sales talk and you can just follow a system and be super coachable, because guys, you can come here from this career with zero sales experience, do exactly what Jeremy did, follow the system, and it yields you to success. So there's other parts of the system that I want to hear as well, Jeremy. I want to hear your routine. Like, what is your morning routine? Like how do you obviously have a really good schedule, because if you're able to eagle every single week, average over an eagle a week, you got to be on a very good schedule. So what does your schedule look like from when you first wake up? Like, what does your morning routine look like? Probably workout, and then, your daily, how many hours are you in the field on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, the whole 9 yards. Well, what does that kind of look like for you, your first, 6 months or so?
So my schedule kind of changed back and forth a lot. Um, but one thing that I do is I'll plan out everything ahead of time, because I know that it's really easy to fall into like, oh, well, I'll hit it good tomorrow. And, tomorrow turns into 3 days from now and you're sitting on nothing and you haven't, it's really easy to fall into that deal. So I plan my week ahead of time. 5 kids, all of them play sports. Right off the top, I know they've got this, and this, and afternoons, things like that. So I plan that out, look at it, and I know 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to get up and go to the gym, come home, get a good breakfast, get cleaned up. And typically I'll get breakfast with the kids just to get some time with them. And then I go to work. So usually about 8:30, 9 at the latest, I'm on the road talking to folks. And I'll usually go till somewhere around 5:30. If kids have games, then that's when I'll go to that. But a lot of times, if they don't have a game, and sometimes you just have those days where you're going in talking to folks, you're just getting kicked in the teeth all day, like, nah, we're good, whatever the case is. Sometimes you just run into those. A lot of times, so for me, if I have something like that and I don't have any games scheduled with the kids, anything like that, anytime I'm not happy with how the day went, just whether it be my performance, whether it be, I didn't get a family protected, whatever the case is, I'll make myself do an extra 30 minutes as kind of like, hey, next time do better. This time I'm not happy with it, so give me an extra 30. And essentially that'll give me one more business. And the way I look at it is that's all it takes to turn an entire day around. You never know what's going to happen until you walk in somewhere. And so I'll have that, one more business on the days where I'm just not feeling right. I'll go in, give it everything I have. And even if I don't get a family protected, I know I did what I was supposed to.
Wow. Holy smokes. That is awesome. I mean, you're working a great schedule, 8:30 to 5:30. The one more mindset. I'm so glad you said it, because we literally talk about that all the time, how powerful that is, and just never giving up on a day. And it's really easy to fall in those traps, like, hey, today's been a bad day, a crappy day, so I'm just going to get after it tomorrow. But no, just giving yourself that extra one more rep, one more demo, really sets you up for success. And planning your week, what you said at the very beginning, game changer, because that is awesome. Hey, one last question for you, and then we'll open up to the audience. But what are just some of your goals for this year, Jeremy? Just like personal goals, like what are maybe some of your goals you want to have in the business, maybe even some outside, but if you got personal premium, maybe goals you want to hit, or if you want to hit, market, field director, or, what are maybe some of your goals that you have for this year for the business?
So personal goal just coming in first year. I didn't really know a lot what to expect, so I kind of just started doing personal goals because I had no idea what I was walking into. So I definitely want to ride over 400,000. So I'm pushing myself toward that. I started out, I was like, well, if I could do 200,000, I'd be super happy. But I'm pretty 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 far past that, so I'm gonna try to hit 400,000 my first year. See how that goes, and then I'm kind of getting into team building aspect now. Mitch is helping me out a lot with that. So I want to concentrate on that a lot more and just learn more about the business itself, and kind of, running your own team, things like that. So I'm always asking questions about, how I can get better from that aspect, because it's just something that, I came in learning the sales talk, learning how to, do all those things right. That's been going pretty well for me. So now I'm looking forward to, starting into the team building and things like that. So basically just a bunch of questions and learning everything I can.
Wow, that's awesome. Just dude, you're so coachable, Jeremy, and you're just doing the little things that it takes to yield to really big results. Having that awareness, making those choices, and you're getting big results. You've already written over 200K in less than 6 months. You're definitely going to write 400K this year, my friend. Dude, this is awesome. Awesome to hear. Thinking big, acting big, staying on a great schedule. So, guys, we're going to open up to the audience for maybe a few questions for Jeremy while we have him on. Any questions at all for Mr. Bearden?
Hey, Jeremy, it's Jeremiah. One for you on those leads. When you're asking about, your buddy at the next business, what if that buddy is just an employee and not the office manager or someone in charge? How do you come about talking to that person?
Yeah, man, that's a really good question. I've always just gone in and asked for them. I've always had pretty good success with it. One thing that's actually helped out a lot is like 2 weeks ago, I had one sent me to a guy named Joel. And so I walk in this business. It was like a concrete pumping business. Walk in, and this guy named Lupe comes up. He's like, "Hey, man, can I help you with something?" I said, "Hey, how are you doing today?" I said, "I'm actually looking for Joel. Is he around?" He was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Can I tell him who's here?" I said, "Yeah, my name's Jeremy." I said, "He's actually expecting me." A buddy of his texted me, told me to come by and talk to him real quick. And he's like, "Yeah, let me get him." So he walks back there, goes to get him, comes back. He's like, "Hey, man, he's in the bathroom, but I'm going to get him here in a minute. So what's this about?" He was like, I'm Joel's manager. Everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, everything's great, man." I said, "I actually work for a company called Family Heritage." Kind of going into it, started telling him, about what we do. And he's like, "Holy cow." He was like, "Dude, where were you at 6 months ago? My daughter just died of leukemia." And that's, as I'm sure y'all know, if you ran into that yet, that's one of the hardest things you can deal with. It's like, man. So we just got to talking a little bit. Next thing you know, he's sitting right next to Joel. Ended up protecting both of them, both their families. So it's one of those things, like, I'll just go in and ask for whoever I want to speak with. But a lot of times you're going to end up getting whoever you talk to right up front as well. They'll be interested just to see why you're there. Somebody actually sent you over here for him. Why would they do that? What is it? And so you end up, a lot of times you'll get more than one person just off of that referral. So it works out pretty well.
That was
Thank you.
Hey, real quick question. Just, I know we talked about this on the phone a couple of days ago. How many like group enrollments have you done? You average over an Eagle every week, but how many like group enrollments presentations have you actually done since you've been here?
I've actually only had one. Everything I've done has been straight B2B. I was talking to Dallas Winterdown, and he kind of specializes in that. And I'm like, "Man, I wish I could do that." He was like, "Dude, if you're doing what you're doing," he was like, "don't even worry about enrollment." So I've actually only had one the whole time I've been here. Everything else has 100% been almost all referrals.
Yep. And it all started from a cold call, from walking into a business and then just transitioning line. Can you just really quick role play maybe one more time for like once you get done doing a presentation, like how you transition to getting referrals? Do you just write those on your iPad right away? Like can you role play that maybe one more time of how you get referrals to other businesses or other people in the town that you're working in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I carry a little calendar book because I can't keep up with things, and I'm horrible with names. So I'll keep a little calendar book with me, and we get done, and I'll give you like worst case scenario, just because if that's what happens to you, because when it's when you sign them up, it's really easy. But just worst case scenario, you don't get the family protected, right? And they're like, yeah, this really sounds interesting, this and that, but I got to talk to my wife, whatever the case is, and you can't overcome that objection, and you just can't get them protected at that time. And I'm like, all right, I get where you're coming from, and I totally understand it. I'm not real big on, pushing people. I want you to be happy with what you have. So do all the research you need, talk to your wife, see how she feels. Here's my card. Give me a call whenever you get ready. But after showing you how this works, seeing all the benefits, this and that, obviously you can see how beneficial it is to people to have something like this in place. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, cool. So is there anybody you can think of that may benefit from something like this? Any, friends, family, anything like this that may help them? Because ultimately my goal is to make sure that you, your family, your friends, everybody's taken care of. And they're like, you know what? Why don't you go talk to, so-and-so, they work down wherever. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go take care of them right now. So can you just shoot them a quick text just to let them know I'm coming? And that's basically how I'll do that.
Wow. I think that's so powerful because you're literally telling them to shoot them a text real quick, non-pressure. You're, hey, just shoot them a text, just let them know I'm coming. Like, don't tell them I'm selling supplemental insurance. Just tell them a text I'm going to come in, just introduce myself. And then that way, it's like a warm introduction. They're going to look at the phone and say, hey, this guy, Jeremy, really cool guy, Jeremy with Family Heritage, will come by. And you just go, hey, I'm Jeremy. And you're smiling, and yeah, it's game over. That's awesome. That's
smart. Just a little tip, because I've trained a couple of people, and I always show them the same thing because I'm really big on referrals. And if you do a whole lot of like pressuring, or you go in through like 4 or 5 different rebuttals and this and that, sometimes kind of the way I look at it is, just because you didn't sell today doesn't mean you didn't sell them. So a lot of it is just how you're treating them. So if you're not doing a whole lot of pressure and things like that, then like you said, you're just a really cool guy that's trying to help people out. And you're a whole lot more apt to get those referrals, because they're not going to send some pushy salesman to go talk to their brother, or, you know what I mean? And so I always try to keep it just really, really chill, and we tell them in the sales talk, like, if this ain't for you, just tell me no, that's okay. We'll stick to that. You just told them it's all right, to get a no. It's not the end of the world. That doesn't mean you didn't sell them that day. So just, if you're going to tell them that, stick to it. Don't get too pushy, because that's going to start messing up as far as getting referrals and things like that as well.
That's true. I love the bond atmosphere. If you like it, great. If not, it's no big deal.
Right.
Even with referrals, if they get it, great. If not, it's no big deal. I love that buying atmosphere order that you have is huge. Guys, any other questions for Jeremy while we have him on?
Jeremy, Brian here. What's your morning routine look like?
Hey, Brian. So usually I'll go work out early in the morning, eat breakfast with the kids, and then I'm on the road. So typically I'll kind of have it planned out as far as the area I'm going to go to, what street I'm going to go to, something like that. I don't typically go as far as like planning businesses, because the area I work in, I don't really know a whole lot about. I haven't been there that long. So I just kind of go into first business I see kind of deal and get the day started. I found if I start like trying to plan too far ahead, I'll get stuck just driving in circles and spend 30 minutes not doing anything. So what I'll do is, like, if I don't have an appointment or referral to start my day, I go into, like, once I get to the area I'm going to work, the first business I see, I walk in just to get my day started. Not really too particular about what it is, who may be there, if I know anybody there. I just want to get out and talk to people, because once I get started talking, that's when everything, like, my day is just going to continue from there. So it's just a matter of getting started for me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks so much this is Van Davenport. Thanks so much for speaking with us this morning. Great material. I was just curious, all the technical stuff's great, but it doesn't do much unless your attitude's right. What do you do? What are some things that you proactively do to help make sure you keep a good attitude during the day? Because, even when you ride Eagles, you're having challenges out there. So how are you getting above, around, or straight through those challenges and keeping your head right?
Man, that's a great question. And I appreciate the opportunity of letting me speak to you. Man, for me, a lot of what I do, I don't know if y'all listen to Andy Frisella, but he's got a podcast. I listen to that a lot. Just the way he talks, I'm like, all right, I need to quit being lazy and do my job. But another thing too is just coming from the background I had, being a police officer, things like that. It really puts things in perspective. Like, this is a great opportunity. This has been a blessing for my family. So even when I go in and I'm having just a really crappy day, things aren't going well. I walked into 2 businesses and they're like, yep, I don't have time for you. See you later. Those things can kind of take a toll on you, and it's natural for that to happen. But my biggest thing is, like, I'm not having to fight anybody. I'm not, it's raining and I still get to work inside and talking to people in businesses and things like that. Like, life is great. So that's kind of just the way I look at it, is just remember what a blessing this is, to be able to do this, be able to help families, be put in this position, and not have to go through a lot of things that I've been through, a lot of things that my buddies are still having to do. I'm not having to do any of that, and I'm still providing for my family. So I just make sure to just keep things in perspective. And like I said a second ago, one of the things that I really tell myself a lot is, just because you didn't sell doesn't mean you didn't sell today, or just because you didn't sell today doesn't mean you didn't sell. Can't tell you how many times people call and, hey man, I met with you last week. You mind swinging back by? And so I just kind of hold on to those type things and not really worry about, yeah, they said no, but that doesn't mean, like, I'm not going to come back and talk to them later or something like that. And maybe having a bad day, kind of just put it on them and take it off of me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Wow. Guys, that was fire content. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Jeremy, that was amazing, man. So thank you so much for joining us today. This was recorded. So if you guys hopped on late, make sure you guys re-listen to this recording, because this was so many good talking points about getting referrals, planning a morning routine, attitude, just going through the hard times, being coachable, using the systems, like so many good talking points that Jeremy touched on today. And it's all just sticking to the basics, just doing the deal the right way. So Jeremy, we're excited about that, man. I can't wait to see you in Dallas at in the mid-year meeting. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, man. Yeah. So guys, let's give Jeremy a round of applause for today. Woo!
Woo! Woo, woo.
Thank you,
Great
Jeremy.
job.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
So